Okay, hello everyone. Karen Richardson here. And I've got with me today someone I'm absolutely delighted to have on this video. You may not have heard of him, you probably haven't heard of him, but what he's got to share is actually incredibly important. Now, let me just give you a quick introduction. This is Tim Sanders, and I came across Tim on an interview with Michael Tellinger, and I know a lot of you do know who Michael Tellinger is. But this particular conversation really caught my attention because it's about something very important, something very close to all of our hearts. And as most of you know me, I like to bring solutions so that we can feel empowered with the current fear narratives that are going on. And I know one of the main fear narratives have been around a certain fifth generation cell phone technology, shall we say, so we avoid the censors. And a lot of you have reached out to me personally. A lot of you have, felt this fear. I have felt this fear. And particularly back in 2020, it was one of the main things that really kind of rocked my boat a little bit, because I just felt this is not something we can control. If this technology is sending out frequencies that, one in particular that we hear a lot about is the 60 gigahertz, and it's causing a lot of fear amongst people. So when I actually listened to this conversation between Tim and Michael, it really brought me, not only Tim, I can just tell you have this great resonance about you. I felt the truth coming out of you from this interview. I just felt that this technology that you are bringing to the people is so important. It's going to put people in that space of empowerment rather than fear of these, these EMFs, this radiation that could potentially affect us all. And, I've seen a lot of things making claims about what they can do about radiation, but something about yours really stood out to me. And I felt it's a very honest product. It's a very true product. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because obviously that's why I've brought you on here. And please do introduce yourself and really how you came, about Omnia, the Omnia radiation balancer.
Yep.
And, please do give us your story.
Sure. Well, hi, everyone. You mentioned Michael Tellinger there, and it's a bit random, but a friend of mine, Michael held a festival of consciousness of, he had loads of all of his, kind of peers, if you like, all of the people that he really respected. He gathered together in South Africa, and he had this festival called Ubuntu Festival or Ubuntu Fest. And a friend of mine was going to present there. She was going to do a whole load of qigong and stuff. She said, you've got to come along because look at the list of all these speakers. And at the time, I didn't really have a job. I'd just come back from Singapore and I was in London. And I thought, well, this looks amazing. I'm sure I'm going to find something to do at this festival, someone to support, some cause to get behind, that sort of thing. And so I went along, and in the end, she didn't come. So she dropped out because the airfare was too expensive or something like that. But I ended up going on my own. And so I tipped up to this Ubuntu Fest, just, properly willing to get involved. And I just talked to loads and loads of people. And one of the talks that I attended was by a guy called Ilya Lakisevich, who is a maverick scientist who is telling us all of the correct concepts in science, from the atom to radiation, to what radiation really is, why different types of radiation harm the human body, to gravity, to all sorts of things, even the sort of squaring of the circle, that sort of thing. So, and free energy as well. That's what this talk was all about. And then halfway through, he said, oh, I've also got the solutions to all the radiation problems in the world. And I was like, hold on, that's quite a big shout, it's a big call. Yeah. I better talk to this guy after his show. So I did, and I said, what have you got? And he showed me, and I went, is that it? Yeah, I was like, Really? Are you expecting me to believe that? Now, just rewinding a little bit, while I was living in Singapore, someone had done a muscle test with me. And so a muscle test is, where you test the body's electrical signals and its strength to see whether you're sensitive to something or not, whether you're intolerant of it or allergic to it. And classically, you just hold your arm out like that. Someone pulls down on it, you're strong. Then you put something in your hand, like the essence of milk or wheat. Those are two things that I'm sensitive to. And then you see if you can hold your arm up when it's pulled down on. And a lot of people's arms, when they're allergic to something, they dip because this is my message for everyone. Everything in the body is electrical. Everything is relies on strong electrical currents. And when those are compromised, then your immune system is compromised and your whole body starts to react and go weak. And so when I was in Singapore, someone had done this muscle test with me, right, with a phone. And sure enough, my arm just went completely weak. And I was like, holy crap, this is really important. Everyone's walking around with a phone, and that phone, and they don't know until they've done a muscle test, that phone is actually making their body weak. So I knew how to do these tests, and I got his product. And I stuck it on my phone, and we did the muscle test, and I went super strong. And I was like, okay, we've got something here. And I said, what are you doing? How are you selling this? And he said, oh, I'm a physicist. I don't like selling, but you can get it on my website. And I said, well, do you mind if I build a brand around this product? And he said, no, I'd love that, because he just wants to do his science stuff.
Yeah.
And so I did. And that's how Omnia Radiation Balancer was born. It's a very simple sticker. It looks like this. You peel it off. It has an energy imprint inside it, which is like nanotechnology, tiny, tiny little units of energy, which we call Deca energy, which we can talk about later. But that energy has a program in it to meet the radiation field and change its spin, right? So I've got two pieces of information which we can really deep dive into today. Firstly is that the body is electric. Everything in the body is electric. And once you know the true concept of the atom, you'll understand exactly how electrical current spins around every single atom, therefore every single cell in our body. And that's how, when I move my arms around, even, I'm moving that electrical current around every single cell in my arms, my hands, my whatever. And my mind is moving those atoms and cells around, right? So that's how we operate, and this cup here is also made of atoms, but it doesn't have a mind to move itself around, but they're all spinning atoms in the same way, electrical current. So human beings react to everything electrically. Whether it's a hug or good music, which, is an electrical reaction where your hairs stand up and that kind of thing. Nice smells in nature, walking on the beach, barefoot. These are all positive electrical responses in the body. But we also react electrically to things that we don't like, that we don't resonate with. And my message here is that we don't resonate with wireless radiation. Maybe most of your audience knew that already. But that's the message. And so that's my first message. And the second message is that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, as Tesla said. So once we know what the true concept of the atom is itself, we understand that the atom is a spinning, vibrating field of light, which looks like a torus, right? So all atoms everywhere, from the wall to my body to everything, are made up of the same atom, at its core foundation. And they all behave in the same way, which we can get into a bit later on. But as a result of that, because of consciousness, we have energy that's balanced, like in the balance and the vibration of love, for example, and we have energy that is imbalanced. So fear, hatred, ugly emotions, that kind of thing. And we're here to experience the kind of range of all of those things. But wireless radiation, we would classify as imbalanced energy. But the good news is that all imbalanced energy fields can be set back to balance, right? Because, for example, there is a big radiating yellow thing up in the sky, which is actually the giver of all life. and that is positive, balanced radiation, the sun, right?
Yeah.
But what we're doing when we touch our mobile phones is we're touching very low level frequency, imbalanced energy fields. And like I've said before in the muscle test, our bodies go weak when we hold that, because all of the electrical signals in our body get compromised or dissonate with the wireless radiation. So everything in our body is looking to be perfectly balanced. We connect with certain things and we resonate with them and we feel better, but we connect with certain other things and we dissonate with them, and then over time that is not good news. You want to remove that exposure, that threat. And that's what we do at Omnia. We just we put one of these stickers with an energy imprint into and stick it on the phone, and then we test the human body to see if we get a yes, to see if the body says thank you for putting that on, because I was really struggling.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting comments I heard you say is not, this doesn't block EMFs, it harmonizes them. And actually, I believe that you said it actually, because it resonates with the body, it's kind of like life-giving as opposed to life depleting. It's giving good energy to your body. So, so you've got your phone, which was this nasty, it was pretty much sucking the life out of you, and now it's doing the opposite, which I think is fantastic. So this is where I think Omnia are really special, and we'll talk a little bit about the actual technology moving forward, and I won't attempt to pronounce your scientist's name, but I know you refer to him as Lackey, so I'll call him Lackey, because he really sounds like a modern day Tesla, doesn't he, with his ideas and the way he's moving forward.
He is, and he talks to Tesla in his meditations and everything else. So he's a very unique scientist in that he's incredibly spiritual, and he's championing the idea and the notion that God exists in every atom, and he can actually explain that in physics terms. So if I mentioned before that the atom is a spinning ring of light or electrical current, right? Meaning that we are all light beings, right? Meaning that, as Tesla said, everything is light that's compressing itself into matter. And there is divine intelligence in every atom or toroidal field of light, because at the center of that, so imagine that the atom is a donut, because that is actually the way that it's shaped, right? The torus field is a donut. What do we have on the inside of a donut? We have empty space, right? What do we have on the inside of the empty space of the donut of spinning light, which is the atom? We have a still magnetic point, right? Which is actually the 0 point. So that 0 point is the magnetic point that holds the electrical current of the atom in place. And that magnetic point delivers the divine intelligence into the atom, which we see as life, which we see as matter. And there are rules to how that spins, how that electrical current spins in the atom. So the atom compresses itself into light or matter, and then it discharges itself into the ether, right? So it literally flicks on and off, in rapid succession, so fast that it looks like it's permanent, right? But actually, my body's doing this, this cup is doing this at all times. Everything is vibrating as an atom, as an electrical current, spinning around that 0 point in the middle. So if we think about donuts and think about that as being the building block of all life, that magnetic 0 point in the middle is conscious. And our consciousness and our conscious human intent can influence that magnetic still point at the center of the torus field, right? So if we think thoughts of, anger or hatred or whatever it is, then that 0 point moves away from the center. But if we think thoughts of love, or we commune with nature, or we just release all of our old programs, old stories that weren't serving us and all those sort of things, then we get closer to that 0 point being dialed into the absolute center of the donut. And when we have that, we have harmony, we have resonance, and we actually have the vibration of love. And that is what, in this field of free will, if you will, we are here to experience all extremes. The trauma, the fear,
absolutely,
and the transmutation of that into love.
yeah.
Everything starts as love. Every baby starts as love. Every tree starts as love, and everything else. And then free will comes in and influences the experience.
Absolutely. And in a sense, as human beings, we're almost acting like the Omnia, in a sense that when those emotions come up and through us, like the fear and the anger and any uncomfortable feelings in the body, we are here to transmute that, and to have a technology that's doing that with the fake energy fields, if you like, the ones that aren't generated from nature. It's incredible, actually, because there's a real beautiful connection there. I just wanted to also comment on, you were talking about muscle testing, because I do it myself using the sway test, where like you, for example, do it unlike I did. I had to put it on my phone first, and then did the sway test, and then I had to take it off again to see if it works going back the other way, and it does. And this brings back to that conscious intelligence that's in the atoms within our cells in the body, which bypasses the thinking brain, that might be going, oh, this is woo-woo, this is rubbish, this is crap. Our body has this innate intelligence because it bypasses that, and that is effectively what you're picking up doing this muscle testing. It's almost like a conduit to your higher self, isn't it? When you're doing this, and it's a conduit to truth. So that's why, and I know you've done other tests as well. So I think for those who are slightly more science minded, maybe they like to see something more tangible, maybe than muscle testing. Perhaps we could talk a little bit about that as well.
Sure, yeah. Well, just speaking to your point that you just made, we as human beings with egos bigger than we care to admit, we kid ourselves that we know everything that's going on in the human body. And if you think about it, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
We think that if we were reacting badly to a mobile phone, we would know about it, right? I would know all about that. But ultimately, your body, like you just mentioned, is this, collection of cells. And, I often say to people, do you know how your fingernails grow? Are you telling your fingernails to grow at all times? Well, there is an intelligence in your body which is growing your fingernails, which is digesting your food, which is taking the air that you breathe and putting it into your bloodstream. There is this other intelligence going on in your body. So muscle testing is kind of querying that whole intelligence. And people get a bit spooked sometimes if they're not familiar with muscle testing. They just think of all sorts of reasons why that can't be true. But it is kind of like a bit of an awakening for them, to realize that there is this divine intelligence in the body. But yeah, back to your whole, lots of people, their brains jump in and go, well, muscle tests have been proven to da 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 da, and they forget to feel it. They forget to actually do it themselves and feel it in their bodies.
Yes.
That's the way we're just, if you like, mind controlled to be these days, is to jump in and ruin something rather than actually explore it. There are those types of people that exist, and everyone's having their own experience, shall we say. We've done live blood analysis as well, where we took my blood. Live blood analysis is tricky because you can't ask anyone else to do it for you. They get, a little bit whatever. But yeah, we took my blood, take a baseline, and you look at all of the blood cells on the plate, and guess what? They all look like fields of, they all look like donuts. You can see this test on my website. Basically, you take your blood out of your body, put it on a plate, magnify it, and you see all of these torus fields of light spinning on the plate. So you're looking for that perfect torus field, the circle with the space in the middle, and then on the middle of that there's the magnetic point holding the electrical current in place, and you're looking for space around each blood cell as they sort of swim around the plate. That's generally what's regarded as healthy blood, you know, looking as toroidal as possible or as donut-like as possible, and having space around each cell so that each cell can do its thing, expel its toxins, that sort of thing. So we do a baseline, and you see that the cells are bobbing around and they're looking healthy. Overnight, I'd switched everything off. In the morning, I had no exposure to phone radiation, turned everything off, took the first sample, and then I watched the video for 20 minutes on my phone, literally just holding my phone like this so I would get the maximum exposure to the radiation. And the next sample that we took, the whole sample stuck together. Every single blood cell was just, it's called rouleau syndrome, and it all just basically clumped together. And that just means that it's not a disease, but it means that it's harder to get the oxygen into the cell. It's harder for the cells to get through the capillaries, and it just denotes not the optimum shape of blood, shall we say, as the creator intended it, and as, you know, as would normally be happening in a healthy body with free will that was tuned into the vibration of love, shall we say. So everything clumping together is not good news. And that was just after watching 20 minutes of video. And then we stuck the Omnia patch on the phone, and I watched 20 minutes more video, and then we took a third sample and it went back to normal, like all of the cells, just in 20 minutes, right? I reversed that clumping situation and the rouleau situation, and the blood cells were in their own space with much better shape. So that's another test that we did, and I'm always looking to try and do a more advanced test of that, but it's actually really difficult to commission live blood analysis tests. They're very, you know, they're very controlling of it, shall we say. What are the other things I've done? I've done water crystal photography, right? So we take a glass of water and then we irradiate it, and then we see what happens. And basically, the water is frozen. It's a technique by Dr. Masaru Emoto, who your viewers may well have heard of, but he invented, or he discovered, this means by which he could freeze water and then photograph it and see whether crystals emerged from the water. And this is significant because, you know, when we talk about the optimum spin of the electrical current in the atom, it manifests in water as this six-spoked hexagonal structure, kind of like a snowflake, right? So the idea is that if you've got that perfect spinning atom of electrical current and you see it in water, then it expresses itself as hexagonal. But the bad news is that if you irradiate water for, you know, I think it was 7 minutes that we did, there's no structure at all that comes through. It's completely destroyed. You know, and that's bad news for us because we are over 70% water. Our blood is over 90% water, you know. And the parts of our body, interestingly enough, that respond worse to, you know, wireless radiation are the moist parts. You know, the brain is very moist, the gut is very moist, and a lot of people put their phones in their back pocket, and all of that energy goes straight up their rectum and into their gut. And that's, you know, that's one of the reasons why, you know, bowel cancer is on the up, but there are many reasons for that. But, you know, there's lots of scientists that have done those types of studies. So I'm not a doctor, so I can't advise anyone on anything, but I'm just telling you what other reports and studies that I've read. So we've got the water crystal photography. When you put our sticker on the phone and then you irradiate the water, then it comes out with beautiful crystals, structure, hexagonal shape. And that's good news because we've shown that we've changed the state of the radiation field, and the water has resonated with that radiation field. So we like to think that the water in our bodies will resonate well with the energy field in the new energy field in the phone. So that's the second test that we do, maybe the third actually. So first was muscle testing, the second one was live blood analysis, the third one is the water structure photography, or water crystal photography. And there's two others that I've done. One is autonomic response testing, which we got incredible results from. I'm not allowed to publish that on my site, but I think I'm allowed to talk about it. Ultimately, if you put your phone to your head, they can test through an advanced form of muscle testing, which they call O-ring testing, where they test the strength of your thumb with each finger. So there's two different types of each finger you can do. So there's 8 on each hand. And that will tell you whether the body is in deep healing mode or not in deep healing mode, right? And what happens if you put your phone specifically to your head, because there are a lot of electrical signals in your head, and they resonate well with this new energy. If you put it next to your head, the body goes into deep healing mode. And that's what we found, which is significant, right? We've turned that imbalanced energy into balanced energy. And now I'm not saying that means, oh yeah, you can spend your whole day on your phone, but you know, when you are on your phone, it's good news. And the last test that we did is range of motion. So, you know, you could try this at home. Not everyone's the same on this, but it is very interesting. It's very similar to muscle testing. So you can basically sit down like this and you can see how far you can take your arm back, right? And most people get just about to the ear, not much further back than that. Then put your laptop on your lap and do the same test and see how far you can get up, because a lot of people just stop there. They just stop there, and it's because of everything in the body being electric and needing that spin of electrical current to be optimized in the body for your body to perform the way you want it to. So range of motion testing is one way. I wouldn't say it shows up in 100% of people, but a lot of people experience that, you know, blockage in the body. And it's a way of showing it. So we remove that. We take it straight back to the whole optimal, you know, range.
Yeah.
So those are
I sort of shake my head because it's like, wow, you know, this is absolutely incredible. One of the questions I actually did put through to your customer support, which kind of led to this, you know, ongoing conversation. I actually asked, and I'll let you answer as well. So my husband works in a city where 5G is pumping out. And I actually said, well, will this protect him while he's just, you know, going about his business in the city if he's got his phone with his sticker on it? So that was my question. Yeah.
So ultimately, if you've got a sticker on your phone like this, and your phone is near your body, then ultimately you will have a kind of radius of about 2 meters of protection. So any passive or, you know, anyone else's radiation field that comes into your field, as long as this is close to you, then it will transmute that and restore it to balance. We're also bringing out a pendant. So the pendant is something that you'll wear, and you can just have that on you all the time for the times that you don't have your phone, or, you know, you might be sitting in the car or whatever. Cars are full of electromagnetic frequencies and radiation, and the irony of the movement at the moment, which is moving everyone away from petrol and into electric cars, is that the electric cars are basically very, very bad for us.
Am I not surprised?
because we are electric beings, you know, and our electrical current wants to meet the same vibrational patterned electrical current in everything it meets. You know, in nature, for example, you know, all of the electrical currents are in harmony with the way that our electrical current spins in our body. But here's the message, sadly, when man tries to make these electrical grids and serve power to us, he gets it wrong. So if you know, he creates an imbalanced energy field, and that's the difference. It's not heat. So a lot of people in the radiation space think that the only thing that can cause harm to the body is heat in a radiation field. But that's not true. It's what we found is that there's an imbalance in the electrical spin, and that imbalance in the electrical spin, as it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, we move from 2 good to 4 good to the 5th generation.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
I did.
Those levels get stronger and stronger, and our bodies get more and more affected. Yeah. So we need to be wary of that. We need to be conscious of that.
Exactly. And this is exactly why I love the solution that you brought, because it's not astronomical in price either. It's got this incredible technology built into it. I mean, I've seen other things and they're crazy prices that, but this is affordable, I think, anyway. I'm really pleased to hear.
We deliberately made it so that, it was just, and they last forever, so yeah. So you stick it on your phone and it lasts, it never stops spinning. The energy in the patch never stops spinning. That's the beauty of this new energy that we're working with, which is really exciting. It's more than a little bit woo-woo, but that's how it works. I think that's the thing. What we used to call woo-woo, science is beginning to prove, as reluctantly as most scientists are. But when you've got someone like Lackey, who is obviously merging the two, and the greatest scientists are doing that now, aren't they? They are bringing. You look at Bruce Lipton, for example. They're bringing consciousness and science. It's one entity effectively, connected, and it's fantastic. Yeah. But do tell us about. Sorry. I was just going to say it's one connected field, because all of the magnetic still points inside every atom in all life and all material life, all those magnetic points are connected, and our consciousness, we are mental beings. We are not our bodies, right? Yes. This is the big aha moment I had from working with Lackey. We're not our bodies. We are effectively souls coming into the body, which was gifted to us by a creator, and our mum, and via our mum and dad,
of course,
obviously. And these are the laws of nature. These are the rules that you could go into sacred geometry and biology and everything else. Everything has these patterns that repeat, and are common. So we effectively are mental or spiritual beings, souls in a body having a human experience, and I think a lot of people understand that now. But when we talk about the physics of the atom, that kind of that completes the picture for me anyway. It completes the picture of who I am, what I am, and how my body operates, and then how I interact as a conscious being with my body, and then how I can send it messages of positivity, and how I can be really aware of when I'm being negative and how that's impacting my body. And that's really important right now, because there are a lot of narratives that are trying to suck us into this ultimate negativity. I won't go into that too much, but I think everyone will know what I'm talking about. Just wanted to say that we have the physics behind that, with the physics behind how everything spins, how everything is electrical current in motion or light in motion, how we're light beings, how we basically interact with that divine intelligence in our body. There's two intelligences at play. There's our minds, and then there's the body intelligence, which operates kind of
exactly. And you saying that, I mean, a few years ago when I started getting symptoms of a cold, for example, the first thing I now do is I send thanks to my body. I say thank you, because I know that these symptoms are because you are putting healing processes in place, because that is what a symptom is. It's a healing process. And I notice now, anytime I start sneezing, slight sore throat, it's gone within 48 hours, just because. And I sincerely believe that just because I'm saying thank you, I love you, whatever. And I know to people who aren't consciously aware, I think this is completely bonkers, but that this is who we are. And the beautiful way you've described it, it really helps people understand the connection between us taking our conscious thought and putting that into our body, and why I wouldn't say we want to stay away from negative emotions, because that stuff comes up. That's information for us to process as well. But our job is to then sit with that and not perpetuate it, be consciously aware of it and say, okay, this is something coming up I need to deal with. It's a trigger. It's something I need to heal, whatever that might be. So yeah, I love that. I love the way you described that. I would like to talk a little bit about the actual technology and how it works, or what is it?
Yeah, so the inventor Lackey is working with a type of energy that he has identified that had arrived in our atmosphere in 2007, and it is physical, but it's tiny. It's they're sort of like tiny little nanoparticles, if you like, of this unit of energy. And they will collect in places of, natural harmony, if you like. So he'll go up into the hills in Serbia or wherever he's living, and he'll get a magnet, and the magnet will have a spiral. So it'll be like a cone with magnets dotted around, the inside of the cone, and he'll go up, and these little Deca units will jump in. Sounds ridiculous, but that's what he does. But here's what Deca, the Deca technology is effectively named after its shape, its primal shape, which is the dodecahedron. The dodecahedron is a very powerful platonic solid. It houses all of the other platonic solids inside. It's a 12-sided cuboid type structure. But in this Deca manifestation, which has come literally from the outer realms into our atmosphere for us to make changes, right? Because the way we were going as humanity was not quite working out. And, you could say that we've had our arms twisted, and, we've had a lot of stuff foisted upon us, in terms of the way that we consume energy, and that's all controlled by the masters. But ultimately, we were pillaging the earth for all it had, and we weren't giving anything back, and that was not something that could last forever. So this new type of energy has arrived in our atmosphere that we can use, and within this dodecahedron structure there are 12 spinning cones of light that spin towards the absolute geometric center. So if you imagine across the structure, there's 2 cones of spinning light swapping energy across it, and there's 6 of these pairs, 6 pairs making 12. So there's one on each side and they all spin into the center, right? And that keeps the center point absolutely in its geometric center, in that vibration of harmony and everything else. And the structure of the Deca unit is such that it responds to conscious human intent. So we can program it with our own consciousness to do what we want it to do. It's not easy, but Lackey has spent the last 20 years working with it, and through his meditation, a lot like Tesla did, just in case anyone goes, oh my God, he's meditating to create a scientific product. That's exactly what Tesla did. And Tesla is responsible for everything that we use today. Our computers, radar, radio, all those things. So he also goes into the spirit realm, if you like, and he downloads this information on what to do with the Deca energy. And the first product that he made uses Deca energy to with a program in it, to take the 0 point that's moving around in the radiation field and set it to its absolute center, right? So it's there to say, basically, I'll meet your radiation field, I'll set the magnetic point to the absolute center, and then my body will breathe a huge sigh of relief because it's in the same vibrational pattern as my body. And so it's like, oh, good, I like that. So that unit of energy there is programmable. And Lackey tells us that it can be used to drive cars, and I'll just leave you with this exciting prospect for those who've got this far. He's currently working on basically a board, and the board has a whole load of plugs just plugged into it, a little bit like, you know, an extender cable or something like that. And then on the back, he's got this device that basically takes that electrical current from the vacuum and then just produces the electrical current into the plugs. So pretty soon we could have just these boards of plugs which are generating electricity out of thin air, supplying all of our homes, and it would be in harmony with nature, right? So there's a little bit of a way to go on that, but ultimately this is what Deca Energy is here to help us with, because we are, as you probably know, we're into the age now of resolution of you know, the divine feminine, you know, the
age of Aquarius, age of the sixth sun. But yeah, basically exactly. We are in this golden age. Or we're moving into that, aren't we? So
of massive change, and the changes that are happening at the moment in our society and in our lives are very much like the old way, trying desperately to hold on to its old ways, but ultimately everything is going to get swept aside, and all of our old systems are going to be just made redundant, whether they're systems of energy and electricity and whatever, or whether they are governments. Because let's face it, my belief is that our governments aren't serving us very very responsibly right now.
Yeah, I think you'll get an overwhelming agreement from my audience there.
So we're here to co-create those solutions, those massive changes, and you know, we all, if we all concentrate on what we want to see in the world, then our bodies respond. You know, we encode that in our bodies, and then we become this kind of cell tower that's walking around broadcasting our truths, and then other people pick up on that, and then those truths then come into play, and that's how it works. That's how the interconnected 0-point field responds to the decisions that we make.
I mean, it's just so exciting. I mean, the way you've just described that you can pretty much program these little nanotechnology Decas. I mean, it's endless, isn't it, really, the opportunities that this presents. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff we can't even think about at the moment. You know, but for the moment, you know, maybe it could be programmed to just help with the raising of consciousness, or, you know, for those who are somewhat stubborn, shall we say.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, it's always the case that seeing is believing, right? We've always been very sort of skeptical of anything unless we can see it, and even when people see it, there's a whole load of people who are completely in their brain and not in their heart that just want to trash it, right? They just want to say, no, it's wrong, and because they're always trying to figure it out. They're not just being, they're overthinking. But yeah, look, if we deliver that electricity solution, because a lot of people look at our Deca solution and go, yeah, sticker, that's, you know, snake oil, hocus pocus, whatever.
Of course, but there's always those people. Yeah,
there's always those people. But for those who are open to, you know, a new understanding of energy, a new understanding of the atom, you know, our proper science about what a radiation field even is, the fact that the sun comes down as perfectly balanced radiation field with a 0 point in the center, and a man-made wireless radiation field never has that 0 point in the center. It's always jagging around. You know, the difference between those two fields is important to understand, and the idea that this will then set that, you know, errant 0 point back into the center so there's a match, then see our test results, and then, you know, it's your decision. It's your decision whether to move forward or not, and that's exactly the way I leave it.
And I always say to people, you know, only if it resonates, and that's obviously why I felt a connection with you and this product, because it resonated very deeply, and I just felt, you know, this is incredible. And hearing about this free energy, I want to be the first to know about that when that's commercially available.
Right. Yeah, yeah, we'll be broadcasting that as soon as we know. But as you can imagine, we have to be a bit careful with that kind of thing, because it's the ultimate disruptor.
Yes, it really is. That will really scare The
powers that
power structures.
Powers that were. I always call them the powers that were, because they're generally they're basically losing their grip on everything at the moment, and revealing themselves in their truest forms.
Exactly. I saw it beautifully described as a chess game, and they can see 7 moves. We're from 7 moves from them being checkmate, but the moves have still got to take place and play out, and that's where we are at this present moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Perfectly put. But it's more than a little kind of hairy at the moment, isn't it?
Squeaky bum time.
Stay grounded and cut out the noise, and try and turn the news off and all the rest.
Absolutely. And I think this is where it's great to be able to put our energy into the positive. I spoke to you a little bit earlier about the Ubuntu movement and why, I think if we just divert our attention and just say, okay, so what are the solutions and how can we work actively towards that, it's going to make the old obsolete even quicker. And this obviously new technology that you brought forward is assisting with that. And so obviously very, very thankful for you seeing the opportunity as it was presented to you and bringing it to us. And obviously thankful to Lucky for creating it in the first place. Really excited about the wearable tech as well, because I have got to a point where I'm leaving my phone at home more and more now. So it would be nice to have that additional, and the other thing I thought, actually, if you did a pendant, of course, pets, especially cats, I suppose, if they're dog tags or whatever, that would be amazing as well. That was just a thought that came to me. I thought I'd share.
We have quite a few customers who say, yeah, but what about my pets? And I'll just tell a very brief story about that. I didn't think that this energy would work on the human body. I thought it had to be put on your phone to change the state of the radiation field, and then the good things to happen. But when we did the ART testing, autonomic response testing, we just started mucking about. We said, well, why don't we put it on the ear? Why don't we put it on your heart and so on? And we found that it did exactly the same thing. So that was really good news. And then suddenly it was like, well, great, we can now bring out a pendant, we can help dogs, pets, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was that I didn't know that until we did the ART. So it was a nice piece of news.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I really look forward to all your new products coming out. And thank you, Tim, so much for coming to speak to me. I'm effectively a nobody, really. So
not true. Nobody's a nobody.
But certainly with everything that's been happening in the last couple of years, 18 months, there is a huge amount of interest in what you are presenting, and I'll happily, be a cheerleader for what you're bringing forward, because I think what the future holds for Omnia, it sounds absolutely incredible and exciting and something everybody is going to want to know about. So yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for the chance to speak to your audience, and really nice to meet you and chat to you, and it's something that everyone can benefit from if because everyone has a phone, everyone has a Wi-Fi router and whatever, and we do a lot of we spread the word through affiliates, through people who actually promote our product for us because they believe in it. And if that's you, then just get in touch with us and we can take things on. And but yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to chat.
No, you're very welcome. And actually, I've got a question written down I must ask, because I know a lot of my followers, when I did a post about your product, and they're, oh, well, I've got shungite, I've got this other sticker, so I'm covered. Hopefully you've heard Tim and you understand why Omnia is completely different to those. But I just wondered if you'd like to maybe say something about that.
Yeah, and I don't want to, trash anyone else's product, but I think if you're looking for something that protects you from phone radiation and so on, you need to have seen it tested on the human body, and you need to resonate with those tests. If you see all of our tests and you don't resonate with them, fine, move on. But have you tested your crystals? Because I have. So, you know, I get loads of people coming up and saying, oh, I've got this already. And I say, well, do you want to do a simple muscle test to see how your body responds? And they're all always shocked, always surprised. And then, you know, we put ours on and they go super strong and so on. So if you know how, I mean, you can learn how to do simple muscle testing yourself, or you could go to a kinesiologist. But it's that important in your life, right? The fact that you're literally touching these things, well, most people are touching these things for most of the day.
It's just all around the house, isn't it? I mean, I've got one, the first place I stuck a sticker was on my smart meter, because I know how, you know, nasty they are, the Wi-Fi router. They're
pumping a massive amount of imbalanced energy into your environment and your space. So it's that important that, you know, it's worth going to a kinesiologist and taking your product down there and saying, could you make sure that this works for me? And if it doesn't, then give us a try. But that's what I would say is that you need to be sure that you have a means by which you've interrogated your body and your body has said yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Great answer. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And I really look forward to the future for Omnia and being a part of it in what little way I can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen, for your support. Really great chatting to you.
You too.